Crazy's still here. He's still got more questions. So Crazy, kick us off, man. What's the question you've got for us?
Well, since I'm agnostic, I'm open to any and all religions. It doesn't matter if it's Christianity, if it's some random African religion, I'm open to anything because I don't have a belief and I'm still waiting to see what I believe is true. And so, my question to you guys is, if, hypothetically, Christianity was to be proven untrue, or like the whole Jesus and God to be proven untrue, even if he's just hypothetically, you know?
Yeah, hypothetically.
Would you be open to swapping to a religion that was proven to be true? Like that has a god, not something like that Chinese religion that isn't based on a god or anything.
Yeah. I guess my answer. This is a very hypothetical question. If it was proven to be true, if it was proven to be false and another was proven to be true, then yes, obviously I'd switch. But I believe that my religion, like, I have a relationship with God. I've spoken to God before, so to me, my religion has already been proven true. So I don't think you would ever be able to prove it not true. Is my answer.
Just hypothetically, because I'm interested.
Yeah.
I've asked that question to other people, and they've had different answers. Some people have said no, they wouldn't go to this different religion.
I think the reason some people might say that is because they already believe their religion to be proven true,
guess,
and they just struggle to understand the hypothetical. Prophet, what would you say?
So what was the question again?
If Christianity was hypothetically proven to be untrue, or like obviously the moral stories and everything, they're obviously true because they're you know, but like Jesus and the stories that were told in the Bible were proven to be untrue. Would you be willing to switch to a different religion that was proven to be true, if there was a other religion that was proven to be true?
Yeah, 100%. Like, definitely. Because, like, personally, I've had encounters with God myself. So wherever he is, I want to be. So, yeah, the short answer for that is, yeah.
Interesting. The way you said, wherever he is, that's where I want to be. That's really cool. I like that.
Yeah. Well, I guess we've had relationship with God, and we've actually seen him in our lives doing things. So we know that God is a real being, and we want to be in relationship with him. We obviously we know that. Well, we believe that Jesus is God, and so Christianity is proven true to us. But in this very specific hypothetical, if it happened that it wasn't Jesus, then yeah, we'd switch to whatever it would be. But
yeah,
because as an agnostic person, I've just even for just because I've got nothing, or like because I want to try it out, I've prayed to God in my room and asked God to help me do my things, like, whether it be when I was in schoolwork, or like getting it done on time and stuff like that, and just asking for support in that through God. And I feel like my relationship with God, because I want it, just because, why not? Because I'm got to believe in something, so I may as well try it out, you know?
yeah, definitely.
So I've asked God, but I feel like I ask him in such a chill way, like he's my mate, not like all this preaching stuff, like dear God and all of this very formal stuff. I have tried to take it very much like he's my mate.
Yeah.
Approach to him and talk to him like he's my mate, and I feel like that's better for me. And even if I don't believe that he does anything in the end, and it's because I feel like at the end of the day it's all me. I'm the one that's living my life, and I don't see how asking God for help can help me with my troubles, because I personally I've never seen or like seen if I have seen him do work, right? I've never thought about it as him doing work, you know?
Yeah.
Or, like helping me with life.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes we just think it's coincidence. Like sometimes God does things and we just say, oh no, that's a coincidence. It wasn't God. Or like other things happen.
I did it myself.
Yeah, or you do it yourself. which is fair. But sometimes, like, there's other times where you just have to, like, you can't reject that it's God. You know, God did something. Like if you have a massive crash and your car is totaled and you come out and you're not injured at all, like sometimes you just have to accept, like, you know, that wasn't. I don't think that's luck. You know, that's God. You know, protecting me, providing for me. Obviously, some people say, like, oh yeah, I was just very fortunate. But I believe that God has His hand over people in specific situations, and that sometimes it's hard to reject God in situations. Yeah, I know. How do you feel about that? Do you have any other ideas about that specifically?
Who are you asking?
Crazy. Like, do you find that sometimes there are things in life that you just justify as things you do yourself?
Yeah, well, I mean, let's take the example of the car crash. If I was in that situation and I'd been in this terrible car crash, but I escaped basically unscathed, maybe a bruise or something like that.
Yep.
And I would see that I would want, before I believed that it was God or Jesus, right? Or yeah, God.
Yeah.
That it was it was physics that stopped me from, like, if I could look at the crash in slow motion and where all the pieces of metal shards went and everything like that, and how gravity and all that affected those pieces of shards, that's how I would explain that I escaped unscathed.
Yeah, definitely.
At least.
And that's fair. That's a perfectly fair idea. Like, it makes sense like that. Yeah.
I mean, at least to myself it does.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me as well. What's your next question on your list?
Yeah. What are your thoughts? Because I know there's many different Bible stories from, like, Luke and Matthew and John and all those guys, right?
Yeah.
So, is there, when you read those Bible stories, is there one that's, like, truer than the other? Or how does they work?
They're all true. I believe anything in the Bible is truth. If I were to reject something in the Bible, then I'm rejecting God. You know, if the Bible has 1% error in it, then it's completely worthless.
Okay. So they're all true, and they're all interesting. Because I've never seen it as that. I've seen it as they've always been conflicting stories on how God was Jesus was when he was alive.
No.
So they're all, like, similar but different, right?
Well, they're written from different perspectives. Like, if I gave a recount of our conversation right now, I would probably have a different answer than what Prophet's account of the conversation is, wouldn't I? Because we have different perspectives. But we'd be saying the same thing, essentially.
Okay.
It doesn't, just because we say it in a different way doesn't mean that it's wrong or that we're contradicting ourselves. Just because we have different perspectives.
And also, on that sort of same tangent, other Bibles, or let's say the Quran, right?
Yeah.
Is what is said in that Bible, in your opinion, from a Christian perspective, then technically false because you believe in a different religion?
Oh, thanks, dear.
Yes. So I don't believe the Quran is true. I believe the Bible has 66 books. Obviously, there are, if you go back into Christian history, there were more books that we used to have in the Bible that we've removed for reasons that are good and holy. But I believe that the Bible we have today is sufficient and that God has placed it in our hands for a reason. But yeah, the Quran was written over 500 years after Jesus.
Yeah.
And so would you the Quran contradicts the Bible. The Quran says that Jesus was only a prophet and that he wasn't God. And I don't believe that. So the Quran contradicts the Bible, and so you can only believe in one or the other. However,
because in the Bible, doesn't it say that Jesus is God, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But is that the only difference?
There's a few differences. But that's one of the main ones, because just that by itself, Jesus says, I am God. You know, if you've seen the Father, you've seen me.
I remember seeing that, yeah.
And so if you read the Quran, which says, you know, he's only a prophet, if they believe he's telling the truth, but when he says he's God, they believe he's not telling the truth. So it's a bit contradictory. It doesn't really work.
Yeah. So if he wasn't a prophet and he was, as you say he is, he's God, then why wouldn't the disciples be the same as him if he was a prophet?
Yeah, they would.
They
Well, John would, but not all the disciples made prophecies, like were prophets.
Yeah. So like the people that wrote the Bible stories, John, Matthew, Luke, all those people.
Yeah.
They are prophets, in your opinion.
Prophets are people who make prophecies. So John, he wrote Revelation. There's lots of prophecies in Revelation, so he would be considered a prophet. Matthew, Mark, and Luke, they only wrote stories and recounted events, so they would probably just be historical articles, not so much prophets.
Interesting. So they've all got... That's so cool. I always thought they had the same job, almost.
Well, they all had the same job, to make disciples and follow Jesus. They were different people, and God had different plans for them, like he has different plans for me and for you.
Right. So, on that, where like God has different plans for you, therefore is life already pre-planned for everyone?
No. You know, you have free will. Like, I'm sure you have a fridge in your house. You can choose to get up and get a glass of water right now, or you could choose to stay on the game another half an hour. You know, God doesn't dictate what you do. Obviously, God has a plan for you and me. Like, for example, in my life, I started streaming 6 months ago. You know, God had a plan for me to, you know, be using my gifts and share the word through the stream, and I've been able to contribute to that. But if I wanted to, I could have chosen to not start streaming at all, you know? It's not like God was dictated me and forced me to do it. It's completely my decision. I'm doing it obviously for God, and I'm relying on God's strength to get me through it. But my life isn't controlled by God, if that's what you're saying. I don't believe that God has dictated every choice in my life, because I have free will.
Okay, so in that case, what's your view on fate?
On fate?
Yeah, is fate like not a thing because God's the one that has the plan for you? So therefore, fate.
You're getting into interesting territory here. If you ask biblical scholars, there's two different sides to this debate that you can choose. And
intense fight. Oh my god, you're doing well. He's raising in there. Oh, you smacked him, nice. Get in there. Nice. Oh my god, you're so good. That was so good.
Thank you, brother.
Anyway, talking about fate and all that.
Yeah, so there's two sides to this argument. One side is called Calvinism, and one side is called Arminianism. And so Arminianists believe that we have free will, and our fate, whether or not, like, if we define fate as whether or not you make it to heaven, then Arminians believe that is completely up to your own choice. Calvinists believe that God predestines people to either choose him or not. That is it's a harder one to understand, because it means that God will also predestine people to not be saved, and that kind of points at God not being good. However, I can tell you, I've looked into both arguments, and in the Calvinist version, if you actually take it for what they say, like, it doesn't sound good, but if you read into it a bit more, they define God as an all-loving father. You know, he's created everyone, so he gets to decide what happens with it. You know, the fact that God forgives some people is gracious and good. So, you know, who are we to define him as an unloving God just because some of us don't get to heaven. Like, he created all of us. The fact that we have life is good in the first place. So I guess there's two ways you can look at it. And yeah, it doesn't really matter. But fate per se, if you define fate as having salvation, then yeah, I guess some people believe that God defines our fate. Some people believe that God does not define our fate. And both sides of the argument, you can be Christian and have and argue for both ways. At the end of the day, there's error in both arguments, and we just don't fully understand how it works. And that's the best answer you're going to get. You know, how is it possible that God has control and we have control at the same time? You know, it doesn't. We can't understand it. So there's something powerful and sovereign in God's power that we just don't understand that makes the argument possible. And that's really probably going to be the best answer you're going to get. Prophet, I don't know, can you add to that?
Not really. I can't really add to that.
Yeah.
I feel like you did pretty well there.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's an impossible question to answer. Fate, because, well, I guess we don't know how, like, we can't define God's power. It's infinite. And so the fact that we don't understand this topic doesn't mean that the Bible is unanswerable or there's questions in the Bible. It just means that we're human and we don't understand the power of God. And that's probably something that we should expect because, you know, we're humans. We have human minds. So if we could understand God, then he wouldn't really be God.
Right.
Very interesting. I hope we could answer a few of your questions there. But yeah, thank you for coming in with a bunch of good questions, Crazy.
No problem.
Do you mind if I pray for you as we finish up?
Yeah, sure.
All right. God, I just want to thank you for Crazy and for the heart that he has to just ask questions and just to seek answers. We know that the world is a dark place and that there's lots of different views and ideas, religions. But yeah, we just thank you for leading Crazy here just to be able to answer those questions for him. And I just pray that your love for him is just made known a little clearer and that the questions he has, there's a little bit more clarity that he's been able to receive. So yeah, God, we just pray as he goes back into his week that he'll keep questioning, he'll keep having those questions for you, and he'll be able to seek answers. Because if we leave questions unanswered, then we will be led away from you and towards evil, God. So just pray that he continues to find answers to his questions. And yeah, I just pray a blessing over everything that he does, that it will be good and healthy, and that he will do amazing things for you, God. So yes, thank you for Crazy. Thank you for Prophet. Yeah, everyone in YouTube, amen. God bless you all.
Amen.
See ya.